G'day guys, Mac with the Outer Circle, and I did some polling earlier in the week asking for the next episode in the Getting Started in Horus Heresy. In the previous episode, we talked about the Legiones Astartes and who wears what, where it's set, that kind of thing, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the plastic Space Marines and the kits that we know are coming. And we're essentially going to look at what I think would make the best starting point for those who are considering buying into the game. Because many people who are coming across to this from other game systems, 40k, Age of Sigmar, who aren't into the Heresy currently and are curious about it, obviously won't know what to buy or what will be a useful investment for them. So this episode is all about that. It's not just, hey, buy a starter box and go from there. No, we're going to go a little bit more in depth than that. So yes, this is the starting point, of course, starting box. But the starting box really isn't the greatest. Yes, you get 2 HQs, yes, you get 4 tactical squads, you get rules, that kind of thing. But the Spartan especially is one of those, what are you going to do with it type vehicles. And the tactical squads, 2 to 3 tactical squads is perfect for most armies, but the 4th one is kind of wasted. So, keep that in the back of your mind because we'll come back to that point later. So the first thing you're going to need is you're going to need rules. So, whilst the basic rulebook will give you basic information, it might even give you some kind of simplified version of the lists, so you can play it as its own standalone game. What you really need is one of the books on the right, either the Liber Astartes, which will be for your loyalists, or the Liber Hereticus. So to know which one you want, if you are playing Dark Angels, White Scars, Space Wolves, Blood Angels, Imperial Fists, Ultramarines, Raven Guard, or Salamanders, or Iron Hands, you're going to want the Liber Astartes. If you're playing Emperor's Children, if you're playing Iron Warriors, Night Lords, Death Guard, World Eaters, Thousand Sons, Sons of Horus, Word Bearers, or Alpha Legion, you're going to want the Liber Hereticus. So the next thing after that is you're going to want additional troops, but you don't want them for your tactical squads. You want them for heavy and specialist weapons. Now, I say or in here, because I don't think you need another 40 Marines since these are boxes of 20. You need just one of these boxes, either 20 Mark III or 20 Mark IV. Plus weapon upgrades. But here's the big caveat. But I don't think these weapon upgrades will work without a fair bit of conversion, especially for the heavy weapons, because they come with Mark VI arms. They won't work very well for the plastic boxes above. So you would buy a tactical squad here, add it to the starter set miniatures, and convert the starter set miniatures with these additional special and heavy weapons. And I think the main ones to be looking at is going to be melter guns, flamers, Volkite culverins, and las cannons and auto cannons. So all 3 of my favourite picks for heavy weapons are going to be in the heavy weapons box set, and you're going to get 2 good weapons in the special weapons box set. I'd be looking at doing 1 unit of tactical Space Marines, tactical support is what they're called, and it's an entire squad of plasma guns. And for the other, I'd be doing an entire unit of Marines that are going to be armed with your heavy weapons. You want to have 10 special weapons or 1 tactical support squad only, and 1 heavy weapon squad only, or your Marine Devastators or Legion Heavy Support Squad. This will give you a total of 60 Marines in your army, which is plenty, and your special weapon unit is going to be a scoring unit. It will just be a non-compulsory scoring unit. If you get these, that'll be the majority of your infantry sorted for your army, beyond Terminators and such. So, going on from there, you might not be into that, because let's face it, some legions don't push you in that direction. A great example of that might be something like the World Eaters, who are going to be big on close combat assault. And whilst we're lacking plastic versions at this time, we might get them down the line, in fact we should get them down the line, is Assault Marines and Legion Breaches. So these are two viable alternatives. You could buy the special weapons on the previous page and heavy weapons, put them on your starter set miniatures to turn them into different types of units, and fill in more of your core troops choices by utilizing these guys here. So a couple of assault squads, a couple of breacher squads might be optional to you. Going on from there, rhinos. So we have a Legion Rhino in plastic now. You already are getting a Spartan in the basic starter set, which I don't think is ideal for a starter set. That is very much in there for corporate reasons, not for gameplay reasons. Many people find the Spartan a cool tank. I find it a cool tank as well, but it is not what you want in a starting army. It chews up a lot of points, and it's really only good for transporting your Death Star units. That is to say, big Terminator squads with HQs designed to be thrown down the enemy's throat and delete everything they touch. That's not really the heart and soul of Horus Heresy gameplay, and it really doesn't translate very well to the average game. Because it's very big, it's unwieldy, it's the target of all the firepower. Most games in the Horus Heresy are objective-based, and you want to be able to get around the battlefield quickly and take over. That's where I suggest up to 4 rhinos. If you include up to 4 rhinos in your base force, you can put a 10-man tactical squad or special weapons squad into each of these vehicles. A Legion tactical support squad with flamers jumping out of one of these can do an incredible amount of damage, or even a 5-man squad or tactical support with something like melter guns jumping out of one of these and blowing away a Dreadnought. Very viable tactic, and so I think it's a great place to look at. Some forces don't really like being too heavily mechanized, but everyone uses mechanized forces in the Horus Heresy, and it's a great choice going to, especially for, say, Iron Warriors, Iron Hands. They're both huge proponents of armoured vehicles and armoured warfare. But of course, the Rhino is just ubiquitous throughout, not just the Horus Heresy, but 40k in general, and I think it's a solid choice of vehicle to take. From there, we obviously have plastic Sicaran. I would suggest up to 2, because you can take them in a squadron of 2. The vehicle is going to provide you a fair amount of firepower, even including up to moderate anti-tank and moderate anti-air firepower. I'd also get an additional plastic Contemptor Dreadnought just to go with the initial single Contemptor Dreadnought you're going to get in the main box set. My suggestion would be this is designed to be the cheapest possible army that you can do getting into the game, with the most versatility. With that in mind, I would turn one of these Dreadnoughts into a gun platform, so putting autocannons all over it, perhaps, or las cannons, or whatever it might be your choice. Kiri's assault cannons is always an excellent option. And turning the other Dreadnought into a close combat Dreadnought, one that's designed to take down tanks, other Dreadnoughts, and Terminators. So he'll be armed with a Power Fist and a Chain Fist. Going on from there, I would then garnish with extra flavour. That would be where I really look at adding the Legion-specific units into the Force. It could be Raven Guards, more Dathan units in the bottom centre. It could be Galvorback, bottom right. Rampagers, top centre. And in the case of some like the Death Shroud on the top right, they also count as a HQ option if you don't want to take them as an elite option. So taking them might actually allow you to take a HQ slot or expand your force organisation in a different direction while still allowing you to fill up the elite slots with other units. So the unit can perform multiple roles there, HQ or regular elite heavy Terminator force. From there, I would probably look at getting a Predator Squadron. Predators are a really cool tank, and we know they're going to be in plastic. Here's a frame. And you're going to have a plastic Predator tank option. They'll be cheap enough, in theory, that they'll be a viable option to help fill out your force and fill out a decent number of points. I don't recommend going to something like the Kratos battle tank, no matter how much people love large, cool centerpiece models in their army. You're already buying a large, expensive centerpiece model in the form of your Spartan that you got in the basic box set. So I don't recommend going that way. Predators are great because they have a variety of weapons options that can fill a ton of different roles. And so by taking Predator battle tanks, it means that you give yourself more options and more versatility down the line, which is what this entire video is aimed at. What you can buy to get the most versatility out of a starting army. And Predators do that far better than something like a giant Kratos battle tank does. I've also included a Terminator HQ here, and this is a Legion-specific one, because I think Legion-specific characters are great to also add at this point in the list building process, because you're going to want to look at not only expanding your force, but really starting to look at those niche units like the resin stuff from Forge World, and getting that Legion character into place, really going into the hobbyist aspect of the force, getting stuff that really speaks to the heart and soul of what you're doing, because that's the whole reason you want to be in 30k, is to live out those events. If you just want to play with Space Marines and push tanks around, 40k is perfectly capable of giving you that experience. So there's no need to be in the Horus Heresy. Those Legion headquarters units, I suggest a Terminator here, because you got 2 power armored ones in the base box set, even if they are hot trash. The power armored ones are therefore covered. Terminator ones are probably a good bet. So each slide in this video is essentially, this is the next thing you should look at doing in your force. Anyway, that pretty much rounds us out. Obviously, there are certain other things you could add from this point on. You could go into flyers, you could go into things like jet bikes, and land speeders, and saber battle tanks, and artillery platforms like quad guns, and additional Terminators, apothecaries. And apothecaries, I didn't add them in the list because I think they're very heavily overused in the Horus Heresy because of that feel no pain buff they give to units. Some people just take them and they spam them. They're in every unit in their army. There'll be 6 or 8 of them in an army, and it's kind of a pain to play against, to be honest, because things don't die. But they are a very, very fair and viable tactic. They just slow down the game for me. I never take them. I'm doing myself a disservice not taking them, to be honest, and they are there to be taken. So they're another good option to add in at this point. Tech Marine Covenants, different types of Centurion consoles. There is a lot you can do. You could add Tartarus Terminators to the Cataphracta you got in the base box. You could go get a bunch of special weapon upgrades from them from Forge World. What's that you are capable of doing at this point in the building? But, as I say, my suggestion is, get your core box set, get your rules in that order. Make sure that you get something playable. Get heavy and special weapons so that your army can kill things like Terminators and vehicles. Then, expand your army a little. Get a few more scoring units. My suggestion is an additional scoring unit every 500 points. And at least 2 to 3 in your first 1,000 points. Going on from there, start looking at vehicles that can fulfill a multitude of roles, and the ones that do it best are the Sicaran Battle Tank and the Predator Squadron. And of course, Rhinos, transport options. They're optional, but I even put them in before Sicarans because Rhinos are near and dear to my heart, so I guess it's nostalgia talking more than anything, but I think back to my 3rd edition 40k days playing with Rhino battle tanks, where it was really fun to just have tactical squads all in Rhino battle tanks, quickly move them around to the point in the battlefield you wanted, jump out and concentrate your firepower to kill a unit. That's still a viable tactic today in the Heresy, and the ability to drive quickly to an objective, throw your squad out onto that objective, and use the Rhino as a physical item that blocks line of sight to protect your guys is a very good tactic, and something to strongly consider if you're getting into the Horus Heresy. Anyway, that's all from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gives you a few starting points to look at going forward in the Heresy, and I'll see you all on the next one.